I'm going to show you how to tune your wireless. So let's click on configuration in our controller and then scroll down to all profiles. And the first thing we want to look at is click on AP and expand that. And we want to look at your regulatory domain. Now, best practices always say don't change the default. So this is a new controller here, so there's not much configuration on it. So look under your regulatory domain. If you created a new regulatory domain profile, there should be multiple under here. I only have the default right now, so I'm going to go in and change the settings for my default. But make sure you change it for all your profiles. So for G, I'm just going to leave it as 1, 6, and 11. So for A channels, I want to enable all of my channels except for 144. Some clients report issues with that sometimes. And channel 165 I leave unchecked also, which is the ISM band. Next thing you want to do is, I'm not too concerned about bonding my G channels here, but for my 40 megahertz channel pairs, I want to enable these channels to bond. So I go through and click all of them. What I'm leaving off is 140 through 144 because, again, we didn't check 144 up here because of some clients having issues. And I don't really care too much. I'll just leave this the way it is for the 80 megahertz channels because I'm going to go in and turn 80 megahertz channels off anyway. So make sure you hit apply and save your config after making those changes. So now I'm going to collapse SAP management and I'm going to go back to RF management. And you can go in and look at your A radios. And again, you probably made a new 802.11a radio profile. So there may be multiple under here. So you may have to change it in multiple places. I don't have anything because it's a new controller. So I'm going to just change it on my default. So a few things I want to just check is I want to click on my ARM profile. And this is where I can set my minimum and max EIRP. By default, I think it goes all the way up to like 127. So you want to set your power settings here and save it. You also want to take a look at your high throughput radio and make sure that this 40 megahertz intolerance is not checked because that may stop your 40 megahertz channels from working. Now, you'll see I'm under the default profile right here. If I go under my ARM down here and I look at my default A, that is the same thing as my default A up here. So you'll see if I would make a change on here, say I would change this to 127, you would see that would change it down here also. So you only have to change it in this one area. And same with my high throughput radios. So, just make sure you click on here and change your high throughput radio. You don't have to change it in every spot. So now let me get down to my wireless LAN. I'm going to close this RF management and I'm going to go to my wireless LAN and I'm going to look at my SSID and you'll see here again, if I open up this is my only SSID I have configured on here. You're going to have multiple, so you want to go in under each of your SSIDs and change the settings. But you'll see if I expand this, I have a high throughput. Well, I also have a high throughput right below it. Okay, so if I do make changes on my high throughput here, you'll see it's reflected down here also. So just make sure you go under the SSID and you want to make sure that you change these settings here. Make sure that your 40 megahertz channel usage is checked and the high throughput SSID is also enabled. And I uncheck 80 megahertz. I do not want 80 megahertz channels turned on. So just apply and save, and do it for all your SSIDs under here, under your wireless LAN. And then you should be in pretty good shape.